Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Maniacal S10 Shop and Garage. Peace everyone. Okay, update on the '08 Pontiac G6. I think it's from 7 to 10, this will work. Now, I do have some bad news too, and I'm admitting it. Not everything I do works out or works perfect the first time. Welding the spring back. I now know, because of the carbon content in the spring steel, that it takes special preparation, a particular fill rod, and the welder to do this. Now my weld didn't break. The spring broke again. It broke twice. So that's the update. Now, if you can see this, can you see the difference? This is the end I welded. And look at the grayish steel color, or color of the steel, versus what I cut this off. If I get this to focus. Can you see the difference? If I do it this way. This is the fresh cut, and this is where it broke. But the spring itself broke. There's part of the weld still there. Now, hold on. That's the other part that broke. And this is at the bottom. Now, give me a second. I also tried over-the-counter spring, and that didn't work either. Has to be this particular type of spring. I even went online and looked these two apps up and still could not find what I was looking for, and I don't believe they make it the way I'm looking for it. And if you can see the difference, for the coil of the barrel is thicker than the pigtail at each end. I believe this gives you the height, and this gives you a bit of the cushion at each end where it's thinner. And here's some more info. That's where I bought the used spring off of a '08 Malibu. And it's still working. And here's the info. Okay, let me hold it this way, the light better. Hold on. Yeah, that's better. I learned that carbon steel, for me, is not easy to weld. I learned, and it failed on me twice. But the first time, it lasted 2 days. The second time I did it, it lasted 3 days. Went the highway, back roads, and of course I didn't try to jump the Grand Canyon, nothing like that. And come to find out that the slightest bump, when you think you got everything going right, bing! I heard that, uh-oh, darn. It broke again, when I was right. But it lasted 3 days this time. But I fatigued the steel because the carbon does not work good with the way I welded it. And I'm not sure on the MIG welder flux core that I use. And it takes special prep, preheat, special filler rod, which I don't have. Now, I'm not going to try this again. And I cannot find a spring, if I can actually get this to hold up and work for me. So bear with me. I hope. Maybe you see this better now once I get it turned around. Now you can see how thick that coil is, this one right here, to the top, bottom the same. How thin this is. It's like your index finger to your little finger is difference. Now I've seen on YouTube other clips where they weld the coils together. That's just not my way of doing it. I wanted to be able to weld it like so and put it back in and function the way it's supposed to. Now whether those videos on the way they welded the springs back held up and worked for them, that I don't know. But it didn't work for me welding it this way. And actually, there we go. Now you can probably see it a bit better. Matter of fact, give me a second. Give you some white background and it'll probably really show up. It starts right about here and gets thinner all the way down to the pigtail. And there's what I did. Didn't do too bad, but it didn't last. But the heat from the MIG and what wire I use, which is a Lincoln flux core, with the carbon and the spring steel, isn't compatible for longevity. Darn my luck, but I learned, and now maybe you're learning, and maybe you already know how to do this, which I don't. I didn't look into this at the time. Spring steel, carbon, and then when it broke on me twice, then I looked into it and hoping to give it a try to make it work, and couldn't. So win some and lose some. And I've also changed the shocks on the G6. Top of the shocks, the two nuts, is a 13 mil 6-point deep well, and the bottom bolt is a 21 mil. 13 mil deep well and 21 mil. The 13 mil, 3/8 deep, no biggie. This one's a bit of a bear to get loose. And I took the shocks out from the top, not the bottom, because I don't have a rack, can't get up high enough to do that. Maybe you have the rack, the lift, and be able to do it that way. I took mine out from the top. And I didn't do a torque spec on this. Snug the top, tightened up the bottom, and here's the top of shocks that I bought. This one here looks like the strut, but I bought the shock. And here you are. And they're, so look at the word now. Hold on. There's what you may need for it. For your info. Sorry it took me so long to get back to you, but I was experimenting with those springs, because what I wanted to do was, and I don't think they make them. I'm still looking in case I stumble across them. You can see how thick, like I said, the pigtails are thinner. That I wanted to find it the same thickness from top to bottom, or bottom to top. It just won't sit the way it's supposed to because the pigtail is off of it. Now you can see the thickness difference. There we go. I was hoping to, and still hoping to find a spring the same thickness from top to bottom, or bottom to top. I don't think they make them. I have looked and looked and looked. But I think that if this was as thick as these coils here are, it wouldn't have the spring bounce to it, and probably a stiffer ride, because I did get the springs for a coupe. Now from the sedan to the coupe, the hardtop coupe, there's 100 pounds difference. From the two-door coupe to the convertible is 100 pounds difference. The convertible is the heaviest, to the sedan is the lightest. Go figure. Yeah. Off the top of my head, I think it's 3,200 pounds for the sedan, 3,300 pounds for the two-door coupe, 3,400 pounds for the convertible. Go figure. And which means the springs are thicker, and they fit, but they didn't want to work right. So I tried and let you know that. Your do's and don'ts and ins and outs of this. Once again, I apologize for taking so long. It didn't work out the way I wanted to, so eventually I'll buy 2 new springs for it. I'm going to do the front end on the struts eventually this summer. The lower control arms will be another video, both them. And I'm going to do the windshield wiper transmission assembly on my s10 Aveo, more than likely tomorrow. Oh, by the way, happy Easter to everyone, being it's Easter weekend. So on that note, I believe I've got all this covered now, if I don't lose my tools. Thank you so much for tuning in, check and see what's going on, and to find my fault. And that's just the way that it is. And I think that's all the numbers that you need. And let me get this turned around again, just in case. One more time. These are not gas-filled shocks or gas-charged shocks. They are nitrogen-charged shocks. They wear better, last longer, and they don't, as I remember, the nitrogen with what oil is in them for lubrication, they don't mix. They stay in a separate chamber setup to where the nitrogen works better with the oil versus gas charge and the oil. So I bought these. Oh, and one more little bit of a tidbit here, just in case. I may have forgotten to let this out, and I apologize. Just in case. I don't think I left it up, but if I did, here it is. And this is already done on my 08. So for that right now, that is it. Thank you so much for the views, my subscribers, and notifications. And for a long time friend of mine had asked me about welding the spring. It didn't work for me. So here's the correction, the way to do it, and what I can and can't do. And I thank you all so very much. So everyone, have a blessed, safe Easter. Keep your wrenches turning and easy on the fingers. Until next video, thanks everyone so very much. Bye. Oh, by the way, P.S. on this. I did read on Google that when it comes to carbon spring steel springs, you're better off just to throw them away and replace them. Someday I may try to fix one, keep these 2 pieces and see if I actually can do it. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. This clean end that I cut off, I actually took an inch section out and put at this, as soon as I get it here to the picture, which I'm not. I actually did a 45-degree angle all the way around, blunt point of course, on this end and to the spring end, and weld it like that. It had held up a little bit longer. But one of these days I will probably try to weld carbon spring steel back together, just see if I can do it. But I got to see what the cost is as far as the wire or the filler rod. I haven't stick welded in many years. I got to look more into this to learn how to do it. So on that note, once again, Peace out, everyone. Thanks so much. Bye.